Johnson is trying to figure out how to fund the government. In a week, more or less, the government will shut down. We will run out of money on the 17th of November. Today is the 8th, so 9 days. And unless Congress funds it. And the Republicans had a big meeting yesterday in D.C. with Mr. Johnson to discuss, what are we going to do about this? Mr. Johnson, by the way, who apparently has no bank accounts, no checking accounts, no wealth, no money, and a black son who is 7 years younger than him. This guy is weird. Anyhow, he's trying to figure out how they're going to do this. They've got three proposals. The first is to just do a clean continuing resolution. They call them CRs in D.C. speak. A clean continuing resolution, which basically says, everything just stays the same and we authorize the government to spend more money for a certain period of time. And they're talking about a CR that would last until either roughly Christmas or roughly, the first couple of weeks of January. And then the battle will be engaged all over again. All right, so that's number one. The second option is negotiating with the Senate. The Senate there are 12 major pieces of legislation, kind of 12 buckets, 12 areas that, the military, the farm bill, the education bill, et cetera. And the Senate has already gotten all 12 of these out of committee. They haven't had a vote on all of them. They had a vote on 3 or 4 of them. And they're moving along. And if the Republicans in the House were to reach out to the Republicans in the Senate or to all of the Senate and say, let's collaborate, let's come up with something that's acceptable to all of us, then, conceivably they could come up with legislation that would fund the government through the end of the 2024 elections, right up until January of 2025. In other words, for another, 14 months. Unlikely the Republicans are going to want to do that because they are so addicted to the drama of threatening to shut down the government. But, it's a possibility. That's the second option. The third option is one that MAGA Mike rolled out yesterday, which is called a laddered CO. This was actually the idea of the Freedom Caucus. And, what they're doing is basically saying, there's some parts of the government that we don't have a big battle about funding. And there's other parts of the government, like the defense bill. We want to cut out the right of women in the military to get abortions. The farm bill. We want to reduce payments for food stamps. The legislation, I don't know which one of these 12 buckets this goes into, but the funding for the Food and Drug Administration, we want them to make it illegal for the abortion pills. I mean, this is the wish list of the Republicans. Obviously funding the IRS, they don't want to do that. So, basically what they're saying with this so-called laddered continuing resolution is that, we'll fund the whole thing, but we'll only fund the non-controversial stuff for the next 6 months or year, and the controversial stuff we're only going to fund for 2 or 3 months until after the holidays when we can get back, to work in January or maybe even December and do this right in their minds, whatever that means. And, the Freedom Caucus is the one pitching, the cokehead caucus, the group of Republicans in the House who get so much money out of the Coke network and aligned billionaires across the country.